First, we will start with a recording of public meetings. I ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address. Seeing none, public forum. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the committee, they may do so at this time. You may speak on any item appearing on the agenda for not more than 2 minutes. Please stand and state your name and address and the item on which you wish to speak. Anyone wish to speak? Seeing none, we have with us this evening President Kuchmarek, myself, Councilor Di Natale, Councilor Zarella, Councilor Boschman. Councilor Walsh informed me last week that she will not be able to make today's meeting due to a planned trip for her job. We will start with 5920, in order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Department of Fire Services grant in the approximate amount of $6,448.94 for the purpose of said grant, which is to purchase washer extractor equipment. Chief Roy.
Thank you, councilors. As you probably know, in 2016, we bought 2 washer extractors for our 2 substations, Summer Street and Oak Hill. This is for cleaning of our gear after fire incidents and hazardous materials incidents. Then in 2017, we did the fundraiser and got the drying units for all 3 stations. We started to take a look at the washer at headquarters. It's been there since we moved into the building. It's also a washer extractor. It's a little bigger one because we have more people at headquarters, and it's been 21 years. We were having trouble finding parts for it. So the state came out with a grant. We applied. We were fortunate enough to get it. So this will go towards replacing that unit, which again is 21 years old and has been giving us some problems. So that'll bring all 3 stations up to date with the washer extractors and dryers for the turnout gear. So it's really good.
Motion to approve 05920.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 05920. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous.
Thanks, councilors.
060-20, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $600,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to DPW capital expenditures, Arbor Way repair, for the purpose of repairing the retaining walls that support Arbor Way. Letter here from Commissioner Bossanetto to the mayor on February 27th states as follows. The DPW respectfully requests the approval of the mayor and the city council for an appropriation of $600,000 from available funds to cover the cost of additional engineering, design, permitting, and construction of repairs to the retaining walls that support Arbor Way. Arbor Way is a 480-foot-long dead-end roadway constructed in 1998 as part of the Montechusett Industrial Park expansion project undertaken by the FRA. The road is supported along both sides by mechanically stabilized earth walls with retained earth heights of up to approximately 24 feet. It serves as the only means of vehicular access for 2 light industrial businesses located at the end of the roadway. It goes on to state that in 2006, the DPW discovered a failure along an 80-foot section of the eastern retaining wall due to stormwater erosion and loss of backfill behind the wall. It says the DPW hired an engineering consultant to perform an initial assessment and make recommendations for repair. Due to a lack of funding at the time, the project never advanced to the engineering design phase. In 2019, the mayor and city council appropriated $35,000 for the engineering design of the repair. During field reconnaissance for the design work, the DPW's engineering consultant discovered 2 additional failures that were not previously observed. Following the discovery of the additional failures, the DPW directed its consultant to perform an analysis of the various alternatives for repair, with the need to maintain vehicular access for the 2 businesses located at the end of Arbor Way being the most important consideration. Results of this analysis indicate the most feasible and cost-sensitive approach will be to stabilize the walls with earthen embankments. This alternative will require an estimated $51,000 in additional engineering and permitting costs, and an estimated $500,000 in construction costs, and contingency for differing site conditions, estimated at $49,000 for a grand total of $600,000. Commissioner, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
No, sir.
Councilor Boschman.
Talked to you a minute ago. Are we gonna do the catch basin before we do the wall? The problem is the water's not going into the catch basin, it's going over the wall. And that's got the same problem in another place in the city. So, my question to the council, to the commissioner, if we knew we were having problems out there, how come we never fixed the catch basin prior? That's my problem. Now it's gonna cost us $600,000 to fix something that probably would have cost $5,000.
Yes, so, Councilor, So in 2006, my understanding of what happened back then was when it was built, the catch basin just wasn't in the right location, so water wasn't kind of filtering there. Some of the, not all the wall collapses you see on that graphic I gave you are due to that catch basin. The wall's starting to deform and it's starting to buckle and things are moving, so it's gonna, water's gonna start escaping in different areas. But yeah, the catch basin will be fixed as part of the overall fix to this.
Now, are we going after the designer of this road prior that put this wall up?
So the walls were built by the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority, and we have approached them about the cost of repairing the wall, but I don't see any assistance forthcoming at this point.
All right. All right, that's all I have to ask, sir. Thank you very much.
I personally am a little upset with the FRA that they're not gonna give us anything to assist with this, only because they built it, they put it in, unless there's some language in whatever contract that was performed that says we are solely responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of it, then that's one thing, but at the same time, these problems occurred few years after it was built. And, for me, it's hard for me to support this only because without the FRA giving us some good faith gesture, anything to defray some of this costs, I think that's not right. So I don't know how much the mayor has pursued this avenue. I know you've talked to them, he talked to them too, and they basically told us, So, I mean, I know they do great work for the city and they've helped us out a lot, but to me, this is not right. And we're not gonna get anything from them for this. That's all I'll say on that. Councilor Zarella?
I agree, that's frustrating. I would like to see maybe a little more pursuit of that in the future, but I'm okay with approving it now and looking at it as pursuing possible reimbursement, because ultimately, if we were to turn this down tonight, it would be the businesses, not the FRA, that would suffer for it. Were that not the case, I'd be inclined to hold this and see if we could get something kicked in, but as it stands, I don't want to risk having two businesses become essentially landlocked, so I'd be inclined to go forward and then pursue reimbursement.
President Kuchar?
I'll just echo those same comments of, as frustrated as I am, I can't, let those businesses become the victim of that frustration of, they depend on access to their site to conduct their business. As disappointing as this is, that we're spending this kind of money on something that that could have or should have been identified prior, and FRA should be assisting us with these costs. At the end of the day, we have to do this. So, with that, I'll make a motion to approve 06020.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 060-20. Just speaking on that, this is one of those examples where, we were talking last week about a facilities director. This is one of those examples where the mayor enters office and gets hit with a $600 problem that only impacts two businesses and no residents, nothing. So he's got to divert $600,000 of available funds to fix this. That could have been fixed 14, 15 years ago, but the letter says there was no funding then. So we want to talk about paving roads or sidewalks. Here's $600,000 that we could do towards that instead of spending it on this, because no resident gets a benefit from this. Two businesses do. We can't overlook that, but it's very frustrating that when you read the history of how this came about, this is where our money's going. $600,000 right out the window to fix something that the FRA screwed up.
No,
So,
it's our fault 'cause we didn't fix the catch basin.
Counsel, you're not recognized. We have a motion made and seconded to approve 60-20. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. 61-20, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $11,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to the Council on Aging expenses account. This is an appropriation to supplement existing heating and building and grounds budget items, correct? Correct. My only question on this one is, were these accounts underfunded? Or did we just have, I'm curious to know why this is a supplemental request for recurring expenses. The way I read the letter from Ms. Goodwin, it didn't sound like there was anything major that happened with respect to the heating fuel.
Right.
So, it's small money, I'm not crazy about these kinds of requests, so,
What she says, if I may,
yes, sir, yep.
what she says in the back of your letter is that they, last year spent 14,000 on heating. We had only appropriated 10,000 this year. So there's a $4,000 difference.
Why did we appropriate 10,000?
That's
That's a question for the mayor,
what we
yeah,
did.
okay.
And then the other 7 for building and grounds has to do with some unexpected repairs that
Yeah.
they've been doing along the way.
Building and grounds, I'm okay with, it's the heating fuel that caught my attention. I would hope that in the FY '21 budget, we adjust the heating fuel account accordingly, to,
Right, we've been doing different things with solar credits and gas credits and all this.
Right,
So
yeah.
on occasion, we've missed it.
Motion to approve 06120.
Second?
motion made and seconded to approve 06120. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Last on the agenda is a communication from the mayor regarding Year 46 Community Block Grant Application, otherwise known as CDBG.
Mr. Chair, would you entertain a motion to approve the communication?
Without going through it?
Without going through it?
I'll second that.
I have a motion made and seconded to accept the communication as written. I would like Counselor to at least read the communication and what's
Absolutely.
in it. So I have a motion made and seconded to approve the communication, which includes the following. The letter from Mayor Di Natale to the council on the 27th states as follows. Dear Honorable Councilors, in consideration of the recommendation of the Planning Board and comments by various citizens regarding the Year 46 CDBG, I hereby submit to the City Council the following Year 46 CDBG application for your review. Attached, please find Year 46 estimated funding, Year 46 funding requested, and Year 46 funding recommended. The Year 46 consolidated plan must be submitted to the Department of Housing and Urban Development no later than May 15th to ensure funds will be available by July 1st. In order to meet the submission deadline, comments must be received by the council's March 17th, 2020 meeting. And in the communication, it further states that the estimated CDBG funds available for this year, 2020 to 2021, are as follows. The total comes to $1,112,414. And it's broken out into the following areas. Public facilities and improvements, $330,900. Public services, $123,000. Economic development, $180,000. Rehabilitation and preservation, $119,270. Clearance activities, $160,000. And planning and administration, $199,244. And then there is details behind those sections with the specific projects. So I have a motion made and seconded to accept the communication as stated.
Motion?
Counsel Boishman.
There's some of the issues here I don't want to pass, I don't believe in them, and I don't want to reject the whole budget. And I have questions on some of these, some of the things that I read in the booklet, that I like to get verified and answered.
Counsel, you're free to ask questions.
I can?
Actually, no, there was a motion made, so you can't. Can't ask the audience, correct? Yeah. So there's been a motion made and seconded already to move forward with this. So
Well, I don't want-
you can make your comments on what you have problems with.
Well, in all fairness, then the party should come up that I want to address. You can't do it, so how can I make a comment and they can't answer back on their thing?
I could defer to Council President Kuchmarek if he wants to pull his motion.
I'm holding my motion.
You're holding your motion?
I will continue with my motion, as stated.
I don't think the people of Fitchburg would be fairly represented.
Counsel, you still have the floor.
All right, I'll say it then, if you want me to say it.
It's your floor. Go ahead.
Okay, in the YMCA program, I read their bibliography on why they wanted money. And on the YMCA, the Spartan Club, they said some accusations on their thing about our school system were absolutely wrong, and I'm not too happy with the outcome of that position, what they said. And I will tell you what they said, because it really bothered me. And on the YMCA Spartan Club, it's on, I think it's M. Okay, M, yep. On the M location, I just want to make it clear to the YMCA or the Spartan Club, I'm not against helping kids. I want to make it very, very clear. I'm not against it. But what I don't like, what I didn't like about here, is that you're telling the public, and you're saying to the public, that we got 23.1 out of 100 students getting suspended at Monty Tech. That's number one. You're saying here that we get a suspension rate of 10.4 at Fitchburg High School. Those are all wrong. And I did the math, and I made phone calls to call up. And it says here, according to Fitchburg High School today, we have a graduating class of 90%. We all read that in the paper, and you put it on Facebook, Mr. Chair. I remember you doing that. 90%. 98% of the students of our school system are applying for higher education. Now, do I have proper documentation to say they are going to college after high school? No, I don't have that, but 98% are. We have outside suspension in the school system is 4.1%, not 10%. In-house, 1.9% suspension at Fitchburg High School out of a population of 1,200 students. Monty Tech, right here off the website on the state, they have a suspension outside the school at 11.9, school population of 1,500 students. They also have in-house 4.7. So the reason why I bring it up is because it makes the school system look bad. I'm a high critic of the school system. You and Chair, Mr. Chair, you know that because you criticize me on that, and you do, Mr. Council President. You criticize me for these things. But I have to give credit where credit's due. They have improved immensely in our high school, in our school system, but I monitor and I watch and I listen to make sure they do.
What's your point of order, Counsel?
What's before us is whether this program should be funded, not whether language used in the application was or was not fair or appropriate. If there's a reason that the program should not be funded due to the language used, that's a different story, but...
I will let the counselor continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to set the record straight. I'm not going to vote against you guys because I vote for you guys every year. Because I believe that the kids that are going to your programs and throughout the other programs, so Mark and the Boys and Girls Club, they benefit because they learn educational-wise, they meet different characters of people. And that's about education. They meet different frames of people in the way they grow up and how they act and different things. That's all helpful. But I don't believe on what I read. And I don't, and to me, if it goes out into the public and somebody else reads it and they see that, and this is my argument, they tell Johnny over here, and Johnny spreads it to Clark, and Clark spreads it to Jim, and he spreads it that our school system is no good. And we're hurting ourselves in our school system. And that's my only problem I have with that thing. But I'll pass it. But I'm not going to pass the, I'm not voting on the
Let me
downtown
just
corridor.
let you know, Counsel, you still have the floor, but when the vote is taken on the whole package,
Yeah.
you know, if you choose to vote against the whole package, we will make sure it's entered into the record that you had reservations about specific items in there, not everything, just so that it's on the public record that you're not against everything on here. And you can even state during your comments right now which items you're against, and we'll be sure to put them in the record, just so your vote's not misconstrued as you're against the entire thing. I just want to make that clear.
All right.
But, you know, I appealed to the person who made the motion to reconsider, and he will not, so this is how it is, per our rules. So please continue.
Okay. So, I might as well tell the chairperson of the, I'm
Yep,
telling him,
which items are you not in favor of,
I'm
Counsel?
not in favor of the downtown coordinator. They say it was a success, and I want to know how it is a success. I don't understand when we have hardly nothing downtown. So how can you tell me something's a success when I don't understand its success? So I'm voting against that one, the Fitchburg Downtown Coordinator at $35,000. I'm voting against, as much as I hate to say it, I'd like to know, my question is, he said that we started off with 70 people being homeless, and now we're up to 80 people homeless in the city of Pittsburgh.
Which one is this, Counsel?
That would be our father's house.
Yes,
Sorry,
I see it.
see ya?
Yep, my father's house.
All right. On his streetscape improvement,
Yep,
I know they talked to me, I know the commissioner talked, I know Tom has talked to me, but I'm no longer gonna wait 6 years to get work done if we're passing these budgets. That's no longer gonna be acceptable. It's either we're gonna get them done in-house, I believe in doing them in-house, but I believe that it's gotta start being done right away, not waiting 6 to 10 years to get something done. It's unacceptable. I don't think it's fair to the communities, and that. And I believe we gotta watch where we're spending all the money. I don't think you should just go to north of Maine. I keep on saying that. We're a city. We're not just one section. Every city, every ward in this city has problems, not just one ward. Every ward has a problem. Every ward. We all get affected by the recession. Every one of us got affected. And everyone has problems. And we should be addressing every part of the ward, not just certain sections. So, I'm not gonna vote against it, Dad, I'm just letting them know how I feel. Downtown mural, I'm in favor of that. Luck is questionable with me, but I'll go along with it for safety purposes. I think Kevin's doing an all right job on that, but, on the street, but I still don't understand how we get 80 people from 70. Code enforcement, I'm all in favor of that. I think we need more people on the Board of Health. I'm all in favor of the critical home repairs. I think that's a very good program for the elderly and for residents of the city of Fitchburg. If we hit every ward, if we can do it, and help the elderly, especially a lot of them don't not know this program in the city of Fitchburg. They do not know it. And I think we should do a better job advertising and telling people about it, especially the elderly people that don't have a lot of money and they're on a fixed income. As a matter of fact, I gave her a couple of names today. The community development, $160,000 for demolition. I'm in favor of that. So those are the ones I'm totally against, sir. Did you get them, Calvin?
so there's three of them. There's the $35,000 for downtown coordinator,
Yep,
the $28,000 for our father's house,
yep.
and the $290,000 for the streetscape improvements. Is there one?
Yes, I'm not against, no, sorry, I'm not against it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it very clear that we have more than one area that needs to be addressed in this city, more than one area. And I don't think that all areas are being addressed properly. And then I want to make it very clear, and I think, Mr. Chair, that you should be along with this, that we shouldn't be waiting 6 to 7 to 8 years to get projects done. When somebody puts a petition in and it passes in year 13. You know what I mean? That's, to me, it looks like somebody's not doing our job. We're not doing our jobs. And that's why, but I'm not against that one. I'm making it very clear. I'm just expressing my feelings on it.
So there's just two.
And then, I'll tell you, and one more. The Abolition Park. We cannot fund our parks, but we're gonna give, I know it's $5,000. $5,000 to this park. Now, according to what I read in here, maybe they can, well, I can't ask questions. I wanna make sure the university is gonna take all full responsibility of that park. They're gonna keep it clean, they're gonna maintain it. We're not gonna send no DPW workers down there. And I want to make sure that if some people, because they said they want to sell bricks with names on them and replace them in. If they become loose and they fall, somebody falls and gets hurt, who do they fall back on?
Counselor, my understanding, speaking to the mayor and to the VP of Finance, Jay Bry, is this is a private organization that is using university property to construct this facility. They have to fundraise the money. We're giving $5,000 towards the fundraising effort because we believe, or I'm speaking for myself, we believe in what it is attempting to do. The university has told me and has told the mayor that it's their property. They will be performing the maintenance on it. If there's problems there, they own it. So all the concerns you just raised, it's on the university's dime. It's not on our dime, and I'm right there with you. It's their property. And one of the reasons why we did not support the parcel of land on Snow Street, Day Street, is because of that.
Right.
That we didn't want to have another park that we were going to have problems maintaining because we can't maintain the ones we already have. So this is university land. It's going to be privately fundraised with some help, like in this case from the city. They own it. We're not touching it. That's my understanding from talking about the mayor and the VP of Finance for the university.
Because I would have been just satisfied with a little plaque right there on the street saying Snow Street, this is Benjamin Snow Street.
That's already been discussed in chamber when we had the petition before us before,
All
but
right.
that's
So
my
that's it.
understanding.
You heard enough of me. Thank you.
So are you against that or not?
I'm against it. The $5,000,
You're
I'm
against it.
against it.
Okay, so
Yes,
you're
I am.
against 3 items.
3 items.
Yep. Okay.
I want to say thank you, and if I offended somebody out there, I apologize, but it's not my intent. But I don't like what I read in the first one, and I was kind of upset, and I spent a lot of time getting research and paperwork done. Thank you.
Councilor Zarella.
So I'd just like to briefly address some of the points raised because, they're interesting points. As to the streetscape, I think it's true. We have a lot of areas in the city that need work, but a scattershot approach isn't efficient and doesn't work. To get stuff done, you have to focus on one area until you're done and then move on to the next area until you're done. If we sprinkle a little money here and a little money there, what we're going to get is mediocre improvements all around the city that we'll have to redo in a few years. Whereas if we focus heavily in one area, we can transform it and then move on to the next area that we need to work on. As for the Abolitionist Park, I'm actually very pleased to see this item because back when it was in front of city property, I did my best to assure the applicants that the reason that we were voting against it was location and city parks capacity, not because we didn't like the project, and that in fact most or all of us were very much in favor of the project. So I'm glad to see the city backing up that sentiment since the concerns have been addressed through this version of the project. Our Father's House, if our homeless population has gone up, that doesn't mean their services aren't working. It doesn't mean people in Fitchburg are becoming homeless. It could just as easily mean that there are people coming from outside the city and residing in the city. That happens. I mean, the homeless population, from what I understand, is largely transient. They move around. It's entirely possible that we got 7 or 8 Fitchburg residents off the streets, then got 10 or 12 people from outside the city who are now homeless in Fitchburg. That's not proof that the project isn't working. It's just proof that it's a very difficult and intractable problem. And then just very briefly, I wanted to address why I'm supporting the motion to move this along. It's because unlike in previous years, in this year's round of CDBG funding, almost all the requested funds are issued. There's not really any huge area to debate where we're funding one thing when we should be funding something else. If we were to cut some of these funding decisions, where would we move the money to? Unlike general fund money, we can't just say, let's move it to maintenance, let's move it to the streets, let's...
Wouldn't be our call.
Exactly. It wouldn't be our call in the first place, and it's CDBG money. We can't just move it to city priorities as we see fit. So I think this is an almost comprehensive funding of what was requested. So I'm in favor of just moving it along and getting people their money so they can start doing all the good things they do in the city.
President Kushner.
I'll first start by explaining and justifying why I'm being stubborn in making this motion, and it's both to reiterate the points that Councilor Zarella made, which is that the vast majority of the programs that are before us are continuation of programs and organizations that have come before us and done tremendous work in this city before. I realize there's, I believe, in particular, one new program, the Abolitionist Park, of which I'm in strong support of, that is new. But the real impetus for me making this motion is that year after year, the organizations that do tremendous transformative change in our community, year in and year out, go through this incredibly long and elaborate process, going through and working with our community development office, working with the planning board and then the mayor. You've gone through multiple steps to get where you are at this point. And then you come before us, and over the course of typically it averages somewhere in the ballpark of 2 hours, you're critiqued and criticized for everything that you hope to fix and address. And I find it borderline nauseating that we sit here and critique the important and crucial work that you do. Quite honestly, I can't sit through it one more time about us bashing those that, seek to address homelessness in our community. It's not a Fitchburg issue. It's not a Massachusetts issue. This is a societal issue. And we have organizations that go above and beyond to try to address these issues. And for us to sit here and critique, to me, is difficult to see. You've already gone through your vetting. Each year you apply for these funds, and then you have to justify how you've used these funds and illustrate not only to the city but to the federal government that what you've done is effective and that you've used and allocated the funds as you said you would. That's the vetting I need. Do I expect you to fix homelessness overnight? Of course not. It's been around since the dawn of time. And I hope one day in my lifetime we get to the root of this issue, but we're not going to do it in this council chamber by criticizing you over the next 2 hours. And so yes, I'm being stubborn. And no, I won't change my motion, because I believe in the work that each of you are doing, and I believe you shouldn't have to crawl through any more bureaucracy than you have to get here. So with that, I am speaking in favor of each and every item listed in the mayor's recommendation before us this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I will say that I share a lot of the sentiments of my colleagues Kushmer and Zarella in terms of the process. So, there's an application process. You go through the planning board through public hearings, and then the mayor vets it with his office, and then it comes to us. Very rarely has the council ever rejected a mayoral and planning board recommendation. I myself, there was once or twice where I did vote against something in the package in the previous administration because there was questions of fraud and abuse that were at a level above the city that I had concerns about. But that was only probably one instance where that's ever happened. Because of the vetting process you all go through and I take a different view somewhat from what President Kushmer said about motivations or what's taking place here tonight about asking questions. If you look at what one of our colleagues said tonight he was against, it's very small in comparison to the whole pie. So he's in favor of, 75, 80% of it. And This is a forum where counselors are more than free to express their opinion and viewpoint. Even if there's a motion and a second and made, he or she still has the floor to speak. A lot of the concerns and questions that are raised can be taken place during the public hearings that take place in the planning. So I'm not suggesting that we rubber stamp this, but as my colleague said, a lot of this, if not every one of these items, other than maybe one or two, are continuations of prior year funding. And this is my 13th CDBG vote, and I can already say with confidence that over 90% of this total is continuation programs. It's not maybe 80%, 80 to 90%, it's continuation. Maybe the values are different, but the items are the same. Streetscape improvements, that's every year. Downtown revitalization, that's every year. All the homeless programs we're supporting, the after-school programs, the home repair, code enforcement for the Board of Health, drug enforcement for the police, demolition, CDBG administration. These are all standard items that we continue every single year with this money. The Small Business Technical Assistance Program, the Micro Enterprise Business Development, again, all continuations of programs that have had varying degrees of success. So unless I see something large on this page that jumps out to me that's brand new, I will question it, but typically I'll do that with the CDBG coordinator, Mr. Skorsky's office, and the mayor. But again, we're free to do what we want in this chamber, and I don't take what Councilor Boschman say as criticism of the program, of the programs. He just has some concerns based on what he has seen and read, and he's free to raise those concerns in the public eye, and we're free to not agree with him or to, go forward with what we see fit. So, basically, if the motion wasn't made and seconded, I would have just read, what I did read was what I was going to read anyway. For me, I didn't need to ask anybody questions tonight, because again, and I'll end it here, a lot of this, the great majority is continuation. So when you first came before us years ago, or last year or 2 years ago, you gave a detailed explanation of why this program is happening, which is what we would like to see when it's a new person or a new organization on the page. Now that it's continuing, it already makes sense to me what's being accomplished. So, and like I said, the abolitionist part being probably the only new one I see on here that jumps out to me. We had several weeks of discussion on that when the Day Street parcel was in question, so I already know what this is all about. So, I fully support the entire package, and we'll vote in favor of it as well. I have a motion made and seconded to approve the communication from the mayor's office on CDBG year 46. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just those three items.
One in opposition, Councilor Boschman, with the three items stated earlier that we will put into the record.
Second.
Motion made and thank you all for joining us this evening. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.